Welcome in to Brigham City, Utah in the Tournament of Champions. Here at John A. Gullo Medal Court, we've got the gold medal match in the men's pro single division. Dane Stewart, Dave Weinbach here. Dave, we've got a fantastic match. Paul Olin out of the winner's bracket and Scott Moore out of the consolation bracket. Tell us a little bit about these two players.
Yeah, this is the senior pro singles, and we started at 8:30 this morning. It has been a long day. It is now 3:45 in the afternoon, and the truck is telling me that it's 94 degrees on the court with a 7-mile-an-hour wind. And this is going to be a really interesting matchup. These guys met, I would say about 2.5 hours ago on this exact court, and Paul Olin took that match in the winner's bracket final, and then that sent Scott Moore down into the bronze medal match where he beat his friend Joe Fressa, I think is his name, also from Colorado Springs, and he beat him quite handily, and that brought Moore back up to this gold medal match where he gets a chance for a little redemption against Paul Olin. Paul is from Annapolis, Maryland. Paul was a Navy pilot. Whoa. And also in the Navy, I'm told, he was a terrific tennis player and played on the varsity tennis team all 4 years. And it doesn't surprise me. The guy has tremendous and very natural looking fluid motions, both on his forehand and his backhand. You know, these guys have met, Dane. I think this is the 4th gold medal match these guys have played against, and I think Scott Moore is either 3-0 or 4-0 against Paul, but Paul beat him earlier. Scott Moore, we all know, kind of a legend in the senior pickleball world, has won the Triple Crown a couple of times in different tournaments where he's won singles, men's doubles, and mixed doubles. Hails out of Colorado Springs. Actually raised his family and lived a long time in Japan. Oh, wow. Scott and his wife Susan are good friends, and their son Daniel is one of the top men's pros in the world. Actually lives in Japan and is playing in this tournament. Wow. Actually played on this court earlier today on John Gullo Medal Court.
Well, I was thinking, was he the bronze winner? Okay.
No, he did not medal in singles, but I think he got 5th place in singles. So Paul Olin came out of the winner's bracket here, and Scott had to come up through the loser's bracket. So what that means is if Paul Olin wins the 2 out of 3 games in this gold medal match, he is our gold medalist here in senior pro singles. If Scott Moore wins the 2 out of 3 games, that will force another tie-breaking game to 15, where the players will switch sides at 8 to determine the gold medalist. So we're about to get started. The players are all warmed up. Looks like Paul won the toss, and he is getting ready. No, he's going to receive. Scott Moore's serving, and Scott Moore is playing. Folks, you can't tell on your monitors, but Scott's into the wind, and I'd say it's about a 7-mile-an-hour wind.
Underway here. One into the net. We get a side out, and Paul Olin will get his first service of this gold medal match.
If I have to give you 2 or 3 keys, Dane, for this match, I think the biggest key is going to be who returns more, who returns better, who puts more pressure on their opponent with good deep returns, not necessarily into the corners, could be down the middle, but the depth is going to be the real key on the return. Both these guys are great volleyers, and they both cover a lot of ground there. Looked like Scott didn't see that ball clearly. Usually he's very good with his forehand volley, and he totally mishit the ball. He almost completely whiffed it, and I'm wondering if that's a nice. There's an example of that backhand passing shot that is a very natural motion for him, because in tennis, that was his motion. And Paul is very good on the forehand and the backhand side. He's also very long, and he's got a long paddle. So he's very, very difficult to pass. And you'll see that today as we watch this match come on. When he comes up like this, he's difficult to pass. Now, that was just an awesome forehand by Scott Moore down the line, and Paul was kind of leading the other way towards backhand.
Great response there by Moore. 1-3 the score. You know, some of those points that Paul scored in the early going felt like those were shots that Scott would normally get a paddle on. And
there's another
been
example.
A little bit of an odd start for Scott.
Yeah, that's another example of I don't think Moore is seeing that ball clearly. That's another one where a forehand volley that he almost whiffed it.
Yeah.
And that's his strength. Ooh.
That was called in.
I thought that didn't matter, but I actually thought that ball from our vantage point was deep. But the linesman called it in.
Yep.
Paul, of course, played it. We have lines judges because this is a medal match. So we have the players will only call the center line. Otherwise, all the other line calls will be the lines judges. Oh, what a great backhand get by Paul.
Great recovery there by Olin. Just pushed Scott Moore a little wide. And how about a 5-1 lead for Paul out of the gate here in our first game?
A terrific start by Paul. And, you know, he's showing us his whole repertoire. It's not like it's just passing shots or volleys or returns of serve. He's doing everything, and Scott's putting a lot of pressure on him, too, and he's responded. And I think that's the first unforced error he's made in this particular gold medal singles match here on John Gulo Medal Court in beautiful Brigham City, Utah. Why am I doing your job? Come on, man.
Hey, you're doing such a great job. I'm just letting you. It's just free money for me right now.
Oh, what a passing
return,
shot.
huh?
Wow.
Great job there by Moore.
Scott has probably the best, out of all the senior men, I think Scott has the best forehand pass in the entire game. He's not as good with his backhand, I would say, as Paul. Paul probably has an advantage on his backhand ground stroke passing shot. Scott's got a good two-hander, but Paul's is fantastic. But on the forehand side, I think Scott has a real edge. Oh, what a cover. Oh. Too bad.
May not have planned it that way, but I don't think Scott's going to say, he's going to say, hey, we'll redo that one for you.
I just said, you know, it's too bad that point had to end like that because that was a great battle.
2-5 here, more on the service. Trying to get over, and that one didn't go as he would have liked. It's a side out back over with Paul. Paul jumped out to that 5-1 lead. And a couple side outs here. Talk about the growth of the game of paddleball in this Tournament of Champions here in Brigham City, a Tier 1 USAPA sanctioned tournament. Really grown into something special, an annual tradition up here. And thanks to John Gullo, this was really his vision. He's seen this grow here in northern Utah and been a tournament to bring people in from all over the world.
Yep. And he's always put a lot of his time and resources and financial resources into this tournament. And it's really a tribute to him. How this tournament has grown over the years, and recently Kyle Klein and the Brigham City group has taken control of this tournament and just elevated it to the point where it is certainly a top, it's one of our majors. I mean, it's a top 3 tournament in the year. Paul's not going to catch up to that ball. That's just too good.
Boy, and that's an important hit there for Scott. It was 7-2. And we talk about momentum in pickleball, and I was wondering if Scott was going to call a timeout. Instead, just use a nice little dink to win the service back. Oh, that one just couldn't get it over the net. Side out back over with Paul.
Paul making Scott work really hard here. I'm a little worried for Scott that if this goes even to the tie-breaking game to 15, Moore's having to work awfully hard here. Yeah, he just didn't do anything with that backhand volley. And Scott obviously much stronger on his forehand side, both ground strokes and volley. So look for Paul to really try to pick on the Moore backhand.
Are you surprised that we haven't seen Moore take a timeout here?
I am. I think you're going to see it right now.
I mean, even that time, it looks like Moore's in good positioning, and I don't know if it's slow reading the ball, but that's just beyond his reach. That's another point.
That's a situation where Moore anticipated that ball going to his backhand, and Scott was leaning to his left, and Paul could pass him pretty easily.
That one called out by the line, so 10-2 now the score, and game point here for Paul Olin in the first game of this gold medal match in the men's senior pro.
He took control of this game early.
He did. It was 5-1. I mean, just like that. There it is. Well, pretty much as dominative as a game as you could script, and Paul Olin, 11-2, taking game 1 over Scott, Dane Stewart, Dave Weinbach. Dave, what's Scott got to do differently in game 2? That one was a bit of a landslide.
I think Scott's got to get his returns with a little bit more pop and a little bit more penetration. Paul is having his way on these passing shots, and I think Scott's got to put more pressure on him through his return of serve when Paul is serving. When Scott is serving, I think he needs to get to the kitchen line a little quicker to try to cut off these angles that Paul is generating with these passing shots. So let's keep an eye on those two things. And I think Scott's looking a little bit winded to me. You know, these guys have had a nice rest. Paul's been sitting for over 2 hours. I think Scott has been sitting for about an hour at least. So, you know, that should not be a factor. These guys have had a little bit of a break. Now it is 94 degrees on the court.
Yeah.
With not a huge breeze, so I think that's getting to them.
And it's warm in the shade. You know, we've got a nice little sun barrier here, and we're in the shade. And I'll tell you, like, I'm starting to get a little warm. Like, it is a warm day up here in Brigham City. And so even though you're sitting, you might not be out in the sun, but it's a little warm.
Yep.
It is August.
I have a feeling, knowing Scott Moore the way I do, and the guy is the ultimate competitor. I mean, there's a reason that this guy has won close to 92 to 93%. I'm gonna estimate of any senior match he's played, whether it's singles, mixed doubles, or men's doubles. I bet you it's over 90% is his winning percentage.
Wow.
And that doesn't happen through sheer luck. This guy is an absolute warrior. One of his nicknames on the Pro Tour here is the Beast. And he's called the Beast for a reason. And he is not a guy that is going to let down or back off in any way. He is a warrior. He's a battler. Watch for him. It wouldn't surprise me to see him take game 2. But he's going to have to put more pressure on Olin's passing shots. And I think he's going to have to get his returns with a little bit more power and a little bit more depth to make Paul's passes a little bit tougher.
Well, he's got some work to do. He's got to win 3 games over Paul Olin, who has not lost a game yet today, and that's a great start right there.
And that return was within 1.5 feet of the baseline, and I think that's what you're going to see Scott really try to focus on. He might miss a couple of returns long, but he's going to really try to put pressure on him.
That one off the net, and Olin able to recover, but Scott puts it away. And this one's starting a little bit differently than game number 1 in this gold medal match.
You know, earlier today, Olin won a game over Moore, and he bageled him. It was 11-0 in a game earlier today.
Wow.
I don't think Scott Moore has ever lost a senior game 11-0. Oh, he tried to curl it in with the forehand, and it just didn't come back.
No, you see that shot from Moore, and you know exactly what he's trying to do, but just couldn't get the English on the ball. And got the side out.
That ball paints the line.
Wow.
Oh.
We've talked a little bit. We're on the opposite end of the court. I thought that ball was out.
No,
really close.
I think it's get on the line. The linesman called immediately.
Yeah, no, she was right there.
Terry, the referee, agreed. And there's just nothing Scott Moore can do.
Yeah.
If Paul's going to paint the lines.
Oh,
I can't believe Moore let that go. I mean, that ball was a foot in. That's just a mental error there.
2-1
I mean, he had the whole court to hit that backhand volley in for a winner.
Yep.
And that ball's deep on the serve. All right, so we got a side out to Moore. Serving 1-2 with his traditional backhand. That looked very uncommittal, I call that. He just didn't commit to the shot.
Yeah, it was one of those where it almost looked like he second-guessed it mid-stroke.
Yes.
And then, you get that.
And then decelerated into the ball.
Right. It was a side out, so still 2-1 our score here. Olin took the first game 11-2. That into the net.
All set up by a terrific, deep Scott Moore return to the Olin backhand.
That's what you talked about, right? Get that return back on that back line. When Scott's got points or side outs, he's been able to do that. See if he can push him off. That's a great return.
There's the Moore forehand that we were talking about a little while ago. I think it's the best in the game, and he easily can take it cross-court like that, but he's also very good at going inside out and going to Paul's backhand.
Paul's done a really nice job of forcing more laterally in this match.
Yes, he's making him move, and he's making him work hard.
Yeah.
And usually it's the opposite. Usually Moore is doing that to his opponent.
That one, an unforced air side out, as Moore will have the service here. 2 apiece in our second game. Moore coming out of the consolation bracket. Has some work to do. Try to secure that championship. Is another side out. Service back to Olin.
There's that inside out forehand he went for that we were talking about, and he's very good at that normally. So Olin can't cheat too much with the Moore forehand down the line, because Moore can go inside out with that forehand cross court for a winner. Oh,
wow.
Scott guessed that he was going to go to his backhand, committed to his left, to his backhand, and it left the whole forehand side open for a winner.
We saw that a couple times in our men's
and
single championship earlier today.
Yes. Moore wisely letting that one sail wide for a side out here.
2-3.
Moore running around the forehand, and that's what he likes to do. So I think if I was coaching Paul Olin right now, I would say once in a while, throw that return of serve to the far corner of the Moore forehand and at least make him run to get it. Moore's going to get to the ball, but make him work and keep him honest. Otherwise, he's going to serve, go to his left, and then run around that forehand every time. So in singles, you got to keep the guy honest.
Back-to-back points by Moore, and I think his second lead of the match. He was the first to score in the second game. How about 3 straight points now for Moore? 5-3. The advantage for Moore.
And there's that inside-out Moore forehand that he's very, very good at. Notice how he's going for a little bit more, Dane, on his serve. Do you notice that in this game?
Yep.
He's not just floating it in there at all. He's going for it. He knows he has to have this game.
Yep.
He has to win this game, and he has to win game 3 if it goes that far, just to push this to a 15-point tiebreaker.
It's a tall task.
He's very capable, though. The all-time winningest.
There you go.
Oh.
I thought that was in, yeah. Player called it out. Linesman called in.
Olin signaling out right away. It doesn't matter what he signals. All that matters is what the line judge. Scott saying it was in.
Yeah, the linesman was right there, called that one in. Paul immediately, when the ball hit, said that's out. Linesman called it in, and these gold medal matches, we saw that in the men's single. Linesmen are the source of truth.
Oh, the linesman called that in. I thought that ball was wide. From here, it looked wide. Terry is going to overrule because it's right on his line. He saw it.
No, I
saw it.
I thought the first one I thought was in. Let's see if we can get another look at the replay here. It's going to be coming near side, but tough to tell. It happened so quickly, but I thought that was wide. I agree with Terry, and a good job there by our center.
We don't have the best angle on it, but it looked to me like it was wide.
Looked wide.
Yep.
So a side out and 3-5. We've got to fix our scoreboard there. The official ruling.
Oh, my gosh. What a get by Paul. Scott had a tremendous forehand volley into the corner. Olin not only runs it down, but basically hits a down-the-line winner.
Yeah.
Wow, this is really good stuff. Are these guys really seniors, Dane?
They move better than I do.
Oh my gosh, he got it. Oh, that's going to sail long.
That's long. Wow.
Unbelievable.
Boy, I mean, you talk about, you feel like each player has opportunities where they got the other player in checkmate, and then they come through with a play. It's like all of a sudden you're retreating and having to regather. Side out.
There were 3 winners hitting that point, and each guy tracked them down. There's an example of what I'm talking about on the return of serve. That was deep and put a lot of pressure on the Moore passing shot, and that's what you got to do in singles. There's a really large emphasis on the serve and the return, whereas in doubles, there's much less emphasis on the serve and the return.
Nice job able to dig that out. Can Olin get this one just wide?
Oh, no,
that in?
That ball was wide. She called that in.
Well, I thought then she gave a signal it was out. Yeah, so side out. So She initially gave a signal it was in. Okay, so, because I think Paul saw the original call, which appeared to be in, and then I saw her give a real late arm up like that was out after talking with Terry. So anyway, we've got a timeout. We'll take a timeout here.
Terry agreed that call was wide. You know, we're on the opposite side of the court, so it's hard for us to see that. But I don't think it got all the way back to the court when he went around the post on that last shot.
Did you see who took that timeout? I'm guessing it was Paul, but I don't.
Paul did.
Okay, all right.
Paul was not real happy with that result of that call, and I just think he wants to settle himself in. And they might be talking over there about potentially replacing that lines judge, and I don't think they're going to. But Kyle Klein, the tournament director, just had a conversation with Terry, and that's what they should do: is get together, have a conversation. If we see a pattern of behavior where we see 2 or 3 missed, somewhat obvious calls, the players actually can request, and the referee can, to replace that lines judge. But in this case, we're going to keep her. We're moving on. Moore serving to Olin, and it is 5-4.
Yep.
Here in Game 2, Olin took Game 1 here in this gold medal match.
Side out. Is that one back into the net from Moore?
We are in beautiful Brigham City, Utah, at the base of the Wasatch Mountains. Am I saying that right? Wasatch?
Yeah,
Mountains?
well, we would say Wasatch.
Okay.
But you're really close.
You know, for a Badger from Wisconsin, that's really close.
It's one of those Nevada things, right? It's like,
yeah,
it's all good. Oh, they call a side out. I thought that was a point.
Yep, 5-4. Oh, that's too good.
Him.
He had Olin leaning to his right there, thinking that ball was going to go down the line, and at the last second, Moore opens up his wrist, goes inside out, and flicks it.
Talked about a couple times.
Oh, that's deep.
Yep, that was too long. A couple times where Olin was able to make that late adjustment on the hit back in that first game, and Moore doing so before that service went long. 4-6 here from Olin.
I am really impressed with Paul's footwork and his ability to execute passing shots both on his forehand and his backhand. I know he had it on his forehand. I didn't realize he was so good off his backhand side. It's a very impressive player.
Wow.
Oh, I mean, that was a phenomenal return that Paul hit. And Scott flicked a forehand cross court. And Paul did not expect that to be coming back.
I'll tell you, the last 2 plays, Moore has made a couple of real big stretches to hit key shots for him. Is that one into the net? And how about the run right now from Scott Moore? 8-4 for the Beast here in game number 2.
This is kind of what we were talking about before this game started. I just felt that Scott was going to give it a little bit extra and take this game 2 and force game 3.
That one in and a timeout. 9-4 second timeout by Olin. Trying to regroup here with Moore with a 9-4 lead in game number 2 of the gold medal match in the senior men's single division. Here at Brigham City, Utah Tournament of Champions, Dane Stewart, Dave Weinbach. Tier 1 USAPA sanctioned tournament. And several years, John Gold has been building this tournament here in Brigham City, Utah. And fun to see the facility, fun to see familiar faces. We were talking about before the game started that, hey, we were here almost, 365 ago?
Almost exactly.
Been fun to be able to see these players come back to Utah and continue to participate in this tournament.
You know, as you talked about, this was John's vision, John Gulo, and he started this tournament in Ogden, Utah, at, I think it was called Monroe Park, in a beautiful setting.
That was the first time I ever saw pickleball, was in Ogden, Utah, this very tournament.
Pickleball has, in northern Utah, it is unbelievable how it's exploded. Of course, it's huge in St. George and in southern Utah. But in northern Utah, I mean, I come here at least once a year, sometimes twice a year for tournaments, and I do a lot of clinics all over the area. And it's just wonderful to meet so many new faces through this great game. It's one of the beauties of pickleball is the people. That's an easy finish there by Moore. Really took control of this match. But when they moved this tournament up here, I believe 3 or 4 years ago, and it got they hired Kyle Klein to run it. it really took off. And Kyle is such a respected individual in the pickleball community, and we all know how efficient he is at running his tournaments. And I think that's added a lot of value to how these tournaments are run. And there is game 2. Moore taking game 2 after getting blitzed 11-2 in game 1 really takes it to him, 11-4 in game 2. And now, Dane, that is going to force a game 3.
Yeah.
And if you're wondering, folks, there will not be an advantage-disadvantage on sides in game 3 because the players will switch sides at 6 points. As soon as one of the players gets 6 points, they will switch sides. So no player has an advantage-disadvantage with the wind and the sun and the elements.
How about a 6-0 run to end that game for Scott Moore? I mean, you talked about in game number 2, falling in game 1, 11-2. You said, I think we're going to see a different effort out of Scott Moore in game number 2. And, he got off to a nice little lead. Wasn't huge. Paul was able to get to within 1, and then Scott just turns on the afterburners.
I know him. I've spent a lot of time with him on and off the court. We've actually partnered up a few times. I just know his mental capabilities and his competitive desire. And I just felt, I had an intuition that he was going to step up and at least force game 3. I'm not saying he's going to win this match, but I fully expected him to turn it on in game 2 and at least force this game 3. But I tell you what, Paul Olin has been playing so well all day. I'm not sure he lost. I think he lost 1 game the entire day.
Wow.
Coming into this gold medal match, and it was a high quality field too. It wasn't any slouches that he had to play. I mean, he's doing great, and Ben Johns comes over to check in and see how he's doing. Paul and Ben, I think, get to drill together because Ben is a sophomore at the University of Maryland, and Paul resides in Annapolis, Maryland, which is not far. I have yet to play pickleball in that area, but it's one of my goals to get out there. I hear pickleball is exploding in the Delaware area as well as Maryland. I know that you don't get a chance to get out east much and see pickleball, but it's incredible. We just had our Chicago Open in the Midwest. Got a terrific tournament there. Great field. There are new tournaments, Dane, going up all over the place. A new Midwest series, a Midwest/South series, just is going to get initiated next year with prize money in the $20,000 range for each of them, and it's going to be in Kentucky and Nashville, Tennessee, and Chicago and Cincinnati and Milwaukee. It's just, we're talking about the fastest growing sport in the world, and by far the fastest growing sport in America.
You made a statement as true as we get a side out here on the opening serve. I don't get a chance to see pickleball outside of Utah. Obviously, players from all over the world come in here, but you made a comment in our men's single championship game about how the game of pickleball has been changing a little bit, and you start to see that tactical piece come in a little bit more in the last year. With the growth of pickleball and it's spreading like it is, do you see differences in play regionally? So players from out east tend to play in this form, and players out west or players down south. Are you starting to see that develop at a player level?
I'm not seeing it as much from a geographic regional situation. What I'm seeing it develop is as we get more sponsorships into the game of pickleball and more prize money and more player sponsorships and packages, what we're seeing is the high-level tennis players, the semi-pros, the college tennis players that feel like maybe they can have a better chance of making a living through pickleball and prize money through pickleball than we're seeing with tennis. So the trend we're seeing nationally, not just Midwest or geographically, nationally, is more of the younger tennis players are shifting to pickleball, and we're getting more pace and more athleticism into the game.
So we had a checking in here, and I'm not certain if that was because of a player call and just getting everyone on the same page. Had a side out, 2-0 the service here from Olin. Is that one just wide? 3-0 now for Paul here in game number 3, trying to secure the gold medal match.
Yep, remember, if Paul captures game 3 here, he is our gold medalist. If Scott Moore captures game 3, it will force a tie-breaking game to 15. Oh, what a terrific stab backhand volley. I mean, just for Scott to get to that ball, I thought was a good accomplishment. And then to do that with it, Dane, what a shot.
That's a little bit of a take some of your own medicine right there, huh? Paul trying to work Scott laterally and just comes right back at him as we're trading side outs here. Service heading back over with Olin. 3-0.
Great forehand volley there by Olin. Got that ball really down towards Moore's feet and made his next shot really difficult.
Into the net, side out again.
Boy, how lucky have we been today? We've had a front row seat for two unbelievable singles matches.
Yeah, they've both been really fun. Is that one in?
Oh,
yes,
that was called in.
What
And
a shot.
Olin is not questioning that. I thought that ball hit the edge of the line. Yep, Terry, the referee gives me a signal that he agrees that ball was in. What a pass.
That's a great hit.
What a passing shot.
1-3 here is Moore on the board in game number 3.
That he's not going to catch up to.
Yeah.
That's just too good of a volley there by Paul. Terrific hands. If you watch these guys volley, notice how they're always making contact with the ball in front of their body. I call that area the impact zone. You always want to make contact with the ball in front of your body in the impact zone. I don't care if it's a dink, a drive, a punch volley, whatever shot. Folks, make sure you're capturing that ball in front of your body. In pickleball, guys, if you let the ball get all the way to your body and to your feet, and of course not behind you, you are going to have a lot of trouble in the game of pickleball. We need to capture the ball in front of our body in that impact zone.
2-3 here.
Oh, good deep return, and that's going to set up problems for Moore. That's what we're talking about, that return of serve. And, you know, that one was not only deep, it was down the middle, which gave Moore no angle to pass Paul.
Side out, back over with Olin here. Trying to keep him deep. That one was ruled in. A nice put-away shot there by Moore.
Yep. Paul agreed it was in. That ball slid on the back edge of the line. You know, the ball doesn't lie. So when we see the ball slide like that, that's a pretty good sign that it did hit the white chalk or the white line. Oh, what a return.
Right along the line, trying to keep Moore over there.
Oh, that's not coming back, baby.
Wasn't going to let him get set up.
Paul says, have some of that.
Good work. Right at the kitchen there by Olin.
And if you look at his body type, he's long, he's very athletic, but he's got long arms and very big hands. As does Scott Moore. Scott's very long and has very long arms, and both these guys have a great reach, and it's no surprise to see them here in the gold medal match. This was the 1 in the 2 seed today. Scott, I think, was the 1 seed. I think Paul was the 2 seed. And no one is surprised to see these two in the gold medal match today.
Another side out here, 2-4. Oh.
You see how Olin was anticipating that ball down the line over there? He was already moving to his right as Moore was hitting the shot. And then once he got to the ball, it was a pretty easy cross-court volley for him. Oh, Moore mishit that. Oh, let's see if Olin's going to get it.
Olin, able to recover.
Oh! Wait.
She called it in.
She didn't really signal.
She kind of gave both signals. Kind of like, what do you think?
What was that? Talk about we talk about players not committing. That was a lines judge being totally uncommittal.
So 5-2, and that one wide side out back over with Moore. I'm guessing maybe she just had the signal, brain mix and gave the wrong. He was like, oh no, I meant that one.
It was interesting, but Scott knew that ball was in, so he didn't question anything.
Yep. That one, ruled wide. I thought that was real close to the line.
Moore not questioning it, and he had the best line on it.
Yep. So back to 5-2 here with Olin. Oh, good work. Good work by Moore.
The setup shot was the key there. he had Olin in a really tough spot there from that second shot on and that point.
As a player, how do you get yourself out of running from side to side like Olin just was? That one sent long.
In that situation, there was nothing he could do. Scott had total control of the point. He was zigzagging him all over the place. Oh, he would like that forehand pass back. All right, we got a little opening here for Moore to try to push this. Game 3 and capture this game and push this into a tie-breaking game to 15. That's not going to work. We call that a villages lob. Have you heard of the villages in outside of Orlando?
No.
It's a senior community.
Okay.
They lob a lot down there. So that's a villages. You're getting all these Badgerisms.
I know. I love it.
Oh, he's going to run it down.
Man.
Oh, what a great point.
Boy. Tell you what, Olin was doing his best, but that's great work of the lines by Scott Moore.
Oh, yeah, and I think that point took a lot out of Paul.
Yeah.
He was gasping for some oxygen there and went to the towel. Let's see if he's going to take a timeout here. Nope, he's going to play on.
4-5 here, Moore. Back-to-back points. That one well wide.
But Olin puts a lot of pressure on his opponents. He moves very well. He doesn't look quick, but he's deceptively fast, and he's got a really good first step. And look how big his hands are, Zane. And he's got a paddle that's a little bit longer than most, and that's a real advantage in singles.
Oh, good cut.
That was a miss-hit volley. That ball barely cleared the net. But
doesn't matter,
in the stats, it's a winner.
That's right. That's right. Boy, just took the air out from under that one. The side out. More. It's close. Olin there to take advantage. And we've seen a lot of side outs in this third game.
Yeah, that was really good hustle by Moore to get to that ball. And he hit a good forehand, but Paul was in total control of that point, and then he had the whole court to put that volley into. Let's see how aggressive Moore gets on this return. Oh, the serve was so deep that's not a serve that you can get greedy on the return. You just got to get that over.
Yeah. 6-4. You had mentioned, Dave, that in this third game at sixes we'll switch sides, so we're going to take care of that real quick so no one can claim
we've arrived to that point.
We have. Yeah. 6-4. Olin with the lead here midway in our third game. One game apiece. Olin coming out of that championship bracket. He wins this game. He's your winner.
And
we have work to do.
As a refresher, Paul Olin did take game 1 quite easily, 11-2, and Moore came back strong in game 2, took control real early in that one, and took that one 11-4, Dane. And here we are in the middle of game 3. If Paul does indeed take this game, he's our gold medalist here in the singles pro day at the Tournament of Champions. If Moore can capture this game 3 somehow, they will force into one more game to 15, where the players switch at 8. And whoever wins that is our gold medalist.
And you had mentioned, Dave, prior to this match beginning, that you had thought Moore had won all or maybe all but one gold medal matches against Paul. So these are two opponents very familiar with each other. They played on this stage against each other before. And Paul may be looking like he's got the opportunity here to finally get one. Against Scott Moore as that return into the net and 7.
That's 2 freebies in a row of missed returns, and those aren't even close to going over the net. I mean, that one was halfway up the net.
7-4 here for Olin.
Oh, good. Wow. What an aggressive return.
It was right on the line, and good hit there by Moore as the side out, and he'll have a chance here to put together a run.
You get the sense, Dane, that he really needed that side out, and he's got to get at least 1 point, I think, in this rotation, or it's going to be real trouble for him.
Does not get that. Is into the net again, side out. Olin with the service just 4 points away.
Yep. You get a sense that he's kind of taking control, and he just feels confident. He's got the rhythm. He's got the momentum. Oh, that's just a great backhand pass down the line.
You know, some days it's not your day, right? And you can feel that. And some days you can feel when it's not your opponent's day. I mean, you mentioned these two played earlier, right? And Warner's had some uncustomary miss-hits. Going back to that first game, had a great second game, but we've seen a couple of opportunities where Olin just feels like he's had that edge.
And there's another unbelievable backhand pass down the line that Moore couldn't even get a paddle on.
Yeah. 9-4, now the lead.
Oh, Olin wants that back.
Yeah, he does.
Oh, Olin was shocked that the ball was above his head on the backhand volley from Moore.
Boy, that close to having a chance at match point. Instead, it's more into the net.
No, that's short. On the serve, Dane, the ball must clear the kitchen line, and that one hit the line, so it's a short serve. Side out. Olin 2 points away.
So
Moore thinking the serve was out. Moore stopped play. The linesman called it in, and Terry, the referee's not going to overrule that from his angle. So I think that gets us to match point.
Sure does. That one wide, side out.
And Moore survives for another point. 4-10. Good deep serve.
There it is.
Man, that's a really
side out. My apologies.
That's a really good volley from Paul. Scott hit a nice pass down to his backhand, and Olin anticipated it really well and hit a terrific backhand volley, and that brings us to match point.
Yep. 10-4 here. Olin.
Oh, I think that ball would have sailed long.
Oh.
Called out.
There it is.
And that's match.
11-2, 4-11, 11-4. Paul Olin able to defeat Scott Moore in the gold medal match of the senior men pro single division. Dave, your thoughts on this match?
Boy, what an effort Paul Olin made today. He beat Scott Moore twice in one day, and I don't know if that's ever happened in senior pro pickleball singles ever. Kudos to him. I mean, he has obviously worked hard on his singles game. I think he gets a chance to drill with some guys up by him in the Northeast, Frank Anthony Davis and Ben Johns and even Colin Johns, and I think that has really helped his singles game to play against those guys who, he would admit are stronger players than him. And that's how you get better in this game, Dane, is when you play against people that are better than you. I don't care if it's singles, doubles, mixed doubles, whatever. Folks out there, seek out players who can make you better.
Yeah.
Play people that are better than you. And Paul, I mean, that's the best I've ever seen Paul Olin play singles. Both the winner's bracket final against Moore and then this gold medal match. He had a little bit of a hiccup there in game 2 there, but it wasn't like he was weak. Scott just played a tremendous game in game 2, and kudos to Scott Moore for being such a competitor, Dane.
Well, and you could say that was the case in every game of this one. You had separations of 7, 9, and 7 were your differentials in the score each match, right? None of them were really, that 11-8 or 11-9 type of score. Very uncustomary type of championship match, gold medal match here in the senior men pro single division.
That was very high level. We were very fortunate today. We got a terrific gold medal match in the men's pro between McGuffin and Johns, and then we got to witness maybe. The more I think about it, I think this was the best senior pro singles match I've ever seen, whether it's a gold medal match or a regular match. That is as good as it gets in the senior pro singles. And congratulations to Paul Olin. What a terrific effort to take the gold, and a great job by Scott Moore battling hard all day. We started this bracket at 8:30 this morning. And it was very pleasant out at that point in time. It was about 68 degrees. It was a beautiful day to start. And, boy, I think it's close to 95 degrees right now. And a real tribute again and a thank you to Kyle and Trudy Klein for everything they've done to grow this tournament and make it so much of a pleasant experience for all the players. There is a snack area up here all the players are enjoying. There's a huge tent so the players can seek shade. This new stage structure that we're in, I think, was a $70,000 project.
Wow.
So the city of Brigham City, Kyle and his group, and John Gulo, it's really a tribute to them, to what this tournament has become.
Been great. Paul Olin defeating Scott Moore 2-1. We are going to take you to the court now for the medal presentation in the senior men single pro division.
Okay, we're here at Tournament of Champions 2019 in beautiful Brigham City, and this is a Tier 1 tournament. We are in the John Gullo Center Court, ready to present medal and checks to the medalists. The presenting sponsors are Selkirk Sport. The gold sponsors are Pickleball Central and Paddle Tech. So we'll present the medals and checks. First is Joe Frasca for bronze. There he is. Hey, Joe.
Congratulations. I get the fun part. I think actually you get the fun part in here in a second. Here.
I thought I got the fun part. I get to give you guys a medal and then give you a hug. Congratulations.
Prize money there. Very good. Congratulations.
Joe is receiving a $500 check, and his sponsor is Selkirk Sport. Next, silver medalist, Scott Moore.
I guess I get to go first. Congratulations, Scott.
And he's receiving a $1,000 check. And finally, gold medalist Paul Olin. He will be receiving a $1,500 check, Head Shoes, the official footwear of TOC, and his gold medal. And his sponsor is Gamma. How you doing, Paul? Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Congratulations.
Appreciate it.
How you feeling?
Feel good. It's extremely warm out here, but I feel lucky enough to compete with Scott and get lucky today, so I feel good.
Well, you played lights out, man. I mean, you didn't miss much. It was very impressive. This is your first major win, right? How's it feel overall to kind of come out here? And you're somewhat new to the scene, but you've kind of stormed in.
I'm happy. You know, I played Scott in the finals at the U.S. Open, and he kind of dominated me, and I got a little closer at Atlanta. And since Atlanta, I've been working out a lot more physically just to get in better shape. And hopefully, and I think that paid off today.
Well, excellent. Yeah, it definitely did, and wish you luck the rest of the week, and congrats again.
Thanks, Rob. Appreciate it. Thanks for sponsoring the tournament.
It's our pleasure. Yeah,
Great.